Welcome guys, what a fantastic sprint race we've just had for the Austin Grand Prix. 19 brilliant laps. It started so well. Lando Norris with a brilliant start right up into P2, the perfect start for the championship. And well, the battle just kept on coming, didn't it? George Russell holding on initially to Lando Norris and trying to fight back for that second place that he did so well for yesterday in qualifying sprint, and yeah, didn't manage to hold on to that. And then the two Ferraris were absolutely brilliant. Carlos Sainz was on a charge, wasn't he? Lap 2 with a brilliant battle with Charles Leclerc. A great fight between the pair of them. Lap 5, eventually Carlos Sainz get past Charles Leclerc, and well, they were just so racy, weren't they? Lap 6, Russell and Norris was a great battle there, and Oscar Piastri was making his way up, wasn't he, through the field, up to P12 by lap 8, but then he got a horrible 5-second penalty, which I absolutely do not agree with. Apparently ran Gasly off track. It was a late break. He was under control of his car, was Oscar Piastri. Yes, he went to the edge of the circuit, but it looked like he was there or thereabouts past him when he got to the apex. So I felt that was a really harsh decision from here, the stewards on Piastri, because you're kind of killing racing a little bit there, aren't you? Lap 9, Carlos Sainz, a brilliant pass on George Russell up into P3, and he wasn't done there, was he? Charles Leclerc eventually got that move on Russell. The Mercedes were disappointing in the race. Russell was particularly disappointing, started in second and then just kept dropping back. Managed to hold off his teammate in the end, Lewis Hamilton, just about. And then we just seen the Ferraris just absolutely battling, wasn't it? Lap 19, crucial for the championship, I suppose. Lando Norris would have been pretty happy with damage limitation coming on P2. Probably a little bit disappointed with P3 in the end, but it was a great move, great pressure from Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris with the lock-up into turn 1. We've seen these mistakes before, and I've said if you want to be a championship contender, winner, you've got to iron out these mistakes, and these are the crucial moments. This is where the title slips away, and Norris makes that mistake again, so he'll be really disappointed with that, I'm sure. He just about kept Charles Leclerc back, which was probably the best bit he could have hoped for, really. Just about, and it was a fantastic sprint race. The action should just be so good for the main race. Yes, Max Verstappen won. He won about that 3.5 seconds, but he wasn't miles ahead. And if the Ferraris can qualify better, which we'll see in the video later on, it should be an absolute cracker, shouldn't it, of a race? Yes, this video recorded just before the qualifying session. You'll get the qualifying video just after this. And yeah, it should be an absolutely brilliant race. Ferrari, it's in your hands to just pull off a good qualifying session, and we should see a fantastic race from there. The 3 good and the 3 bad for the sprint. I'm going to go for Max Verstappen with that P1, kept it out in front. I did think he might struggle with the tyre deck. That's kind of been there, a little bit of a weakness, haven't they? And the car hasn't been overall great, but he got out in front, kept out in front, was brilliant. The second of the 3 good is Carlos Sainz. Was P2 was mega. He was so races, made up 3 places in the sprint, which is no easy feat. And Kevin Magnussen beats Nico Hülkenberg, who qualified ahead of him. A great job for good points for the Haas team at P7. 3 bad, I'm going to go for George Russell. Started in second and finished in 5th. They were so hard on their tyres, really falling back. George especially, I think he was just a bit too racy early on. The second of the 3 bad is Fernando Alonso, a P8. It was a horrible sprint race from him. He finished way back on his teammate as well in the end. Dropped 4 places from where he qualified. So yeah, horrible from him. And Sergio Perez finishes in P9. Out of the points, he made up just 2 places in that sprint race. His teammate is out there winning, and Perez is absolutely nowhere. Yes, the car is probably not exactly where it needs to be, but Max is doing Max things again, and Sergio Perez is really just piling on the pressure at the back, isn't he? Yuki Tsunoda looked absolutely mega in that race, did really well battling with Sergio Perez holding him back initially, and then a great battle to hold back Oscar Piastri for as long as he did. Kind of helped Perez out a little bit there, didn't he? Because it looked like for all the world that Piastri would catch and pass Sergio Perez, which would have been awful for Perez. Even worse, that he started 5 places ahead of their rival in the constructors, and well, they both didn't score points, but he would have got passed by Piastri, which would have been, just add more pressure on Sergio. He's saying he's 100% in a race seat for next season. Will it be that Red Bull one? It's really hard to, give him that seat as things stand at the moment, but let's see how it pans out. We've got the sprint or the qualifying for the main race to come. It should be absolutely brilliant. It properly whet the appetite, that sprint race. Fantastic racing. Thank you, Ferrari, for pulling off that performance. The two of them, to let them race was absolutely mega. Let's see how we get on with the qualifying for the main race next. Qualifying done for the Austin Grand Prix, and I was going to say we started where we left off, but actually it's a completely different grid for the race. Lando Norris holds on to pole position thanks to George Russell dropping it into the wall for the final runs of Q3 in that session. I mean, Max Verstappen looked like he was on a lap and probably taking pole position. He looked like the man to beat all session, didn't he? But he's not taking pole position, and we've got what we wanted for the race. Max Verstappen will have to pass Lando Norris to take the win in the race tomorrow. It should be brilliant up front, and we've got the perfect grid. We've got the 2 fast Ferraris and the quick one, Carlos Sainz, in 3rd place, right behind Max Verstappen. So it's a tricky one. He'll be looking over his shoulders at the 2 Ferraris. They were battling it head and tongue, weren't they, them two? Charles Leclerc lines up in 4th place. It should be a fantastic battle between the pair of them. If one of them can jump Max, it'll be an even better race tomorrow. I can't wait for the action to get going up front. It looks brilliant. Oscar Piastri gets himself in 5th place. Not quite on the level of Lando Norris so far this weekend. He's been a little bit off. And it's kind of shown all weekend, but a decent result in the end. He's right behind the 2 Ferraris, ahead of George Russell, who's crashed, and he would have been the roadblock in the top cars. Mercedes, well, really struggled, hasn't it? Big snap from George Russell, lost it into the wall for him, and Lewis Hamilton had an absolute shocker again in qualifying. The star of the qualifying session, though, is Pierre Gasly in P7 in the awful Alpine that looks like a McLaren, and well, it went like a bit like a McLaren, didn't it? It kind of worked the magic orange, hasn't it, on that car? A fantastic lap. P7, I mean, he's so far outdone that car. It's incredible. He was fast in one of the earlier sessions as well. So a really, really good session from him, Pierre Gasly. Fernando Alonso lines up in 8th place. A pretty solid race qualifying session from him, especially considering how bad his race has gone. So the car and the setup changes that they've done have absolutely gone in the right direction. And the first Q3 run for the first time in 2024, Kevin Magnussen, P9, out-qualifies Nico Hülkenberg. We've seen it the other way around, but it's been a really good Saturday for Kevin Magnussen, hasn't it? A really good sprint race, and well, he's pulled it off. A fantastic qualifying lap, P9. He'll be hoping to stay in some points for the race tomorrow. And well, Sergio Perez gets 10th place. I'd say another poor session. He didn't set a lap in his first run and never got the opportunity to set a lap after that, and that's kind of the big risk you have to take, isn't it? It's risk to reward. How far do you push on those first laps? There's always chances of these incidents. We've seen it numerous times, and it's crucial to get that first banker lap in, and you can't be too cautious. He overstepped it and well got a track limits, and that's, well, he's going to start 10th place. A really poor session from him. Out in Q2, Yuki Tsunoda, it starts 11th. I think that's a pretty decent job from him. In with a fight for potentially taking a place off. I imagine Pierre Gasly will be falling to the back, and Kevin Magnussen will be on the fringes of the top 10. So there's a chance of points for him there. They're in a real battle, aren't they? And he's mixing it with the Hasses on his own at the moment. Nico Hülkenberg in 12th, right behind the Racing Bulls, who they're fighting for 6th in the championship. Ocon in 13th, a better qualifying session for him today compared to yesterday, but he's been well beaten by his teammate. Lance Stroll in 14th, again another one that's been well beaten by his teammate. Liam Lawson starts 15th. He didn't set a time in that Q2 session. He is taking a 10 place grid penalty. It's overall like a 60 grid penalty because of the amount of changes he's made to his engine. Basically inherited that from Daniel Ricciardo, a bit of a leaving present from Danny Rick for Lawson. We knew it was coming ahead of this weekend, so he's starting last effectively, but bumps everyone up. Alex Albon 16th, a disappointing session for Williams actually. They looked really strong in sprint qualifying, and it's gone a bit backwards for them, hasn't it? The sprint race wasn't great. Both cars fought out the points and out of the top 10, and it's not a great qualifying session. He'll start 15th. Colapinto will move up to 16th. He was 17th, the two Williams side by side. Bottas in 18th. He'll move up one place as well, and it was an absolute shocker. Lewis Hamilton out in Q1. Where do we see that? He goes so well in Austin. It was a big surprise to see him go out there. It's been an awful return to Formula One, hasn't it, after the break for Lewis Hamilton. He's just had a stinker so far this weekend, and it just got absolutely worse. And Liam Lawson, as I said, is going to line up 20th. It was Joe Guanyu who will move one place up to 19th. And you might as well enjoy that off the start line, because I don't think he'll be there in turn 1. But turn 1, talking of that, it should be brilliant tomorrow. The two title rivals, the fast Ferrari is right behind him, as we've seen in the race. It should be a brilliant race tomorrow. I can't wait for the action to get going. The grid has been set brilliantly. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always, and watch out for the race review tomorrow. See you then.